You know the feeling. You're just driving along, maybe listening to music, everything's fine, and then, boom, there it is. That little glowing symbol on your dashboard, the check engine light. It can really give you that sinking feeling, right? But what if it's not just a problem? What if it's a puzzle? Okay, so if you get your car scanned and it spits out the code P0741, your car is definitely trying to tell you something very specific. It's a clue to a mystery that's happening deep inside the transmission. So for the next few minutes, we're going to put on our detective hats and crack this case together. So to figure out what the clue means, we have to go to the scene of the crime. And for this one, we're not actually looking at the engine. Nope, we're looking at its partner in crime, the automatic transmission. And we're going to zoom in on one specific part inside called the torque converter. And here it is. This is our key player, the torque converter clutch, or TCC for short. So your torque converter is this amazing fluid coupling that lets your engine stay running even when your car is completely stopped. But when you get up to highway speeds, that fluid connection, it's kind of slushy and inefficient. And that's where the TCC steps in. Its whole job is to lock the engine and transmission together to make a solid connection for the best possible efficiency. Think of the TCC as having two different modes. Over here on the left, you've got lockup off. That's that fluid connection we were just talking about. It's perfect for city driving, stopping at lights, starting up again. It's all smooth. But then on the right, when you hit cruising speed on the highway, the car's computer says, okay, time for lockup on. And that creates a direct mechanical link between the engine and the wheels. This is a huge win for your gas mileage, and it also helps keep the transmission from getting too hot. So here's the absolute heart of the issue. The P0741 code is basically a story of insubordination. Your car's main computer is sending out a crystal clear command, engage the lockup clutch now. But for some reason, the system is just not following orders. The clutch isn't engaging like it should, and our job is to figure out why. Okay, let's talk about how this problem actually shows up in the real world. I mean, a computer code is one thing, but how does this actually feel when you're behind the wheel? These are the clues you, as the driver, might notice that tell us we're definitely on the right track. Well, aside from the obvious check engine light glaring at you, you're going to notice other stuff. You'll probably feel it in your wallet first, because your fuel economy is going to take a hit. You might also see the tachometer needle, the RPMs, bouncing up and down a little bit when you're cruising on the highway. All that extra slipping creates a ton of heat, which could even lead to overheating or a weird burning smell. Some people even say it feels like a mild surging sensation while they're driving. Do any of these sound a little too familiar? All right, we've got our clues. Now it's time to line up the usual suspects. And like any good detective, you always start with the simplest, most likely culprits, and then you work your way down to the more serious, complex ones. We're going to look at everything from basic fluid problems all the way to a major mechanical failure. Okay, suspect number one, and this is the one we're all hoping for, is the transmission fluid itself. You see, modern transmissions are basically run by hydraulic pressure. They need the right amount of clean fluid to make everything work. If that fluid is low, or if it's old and dirty, the system just can't build the pressure it needs to engage the clutch. But here's a quick pro tip. If you've got a really high mileage car and you know that fluid has never been changed, be careful. Sometimes that old gritty fluid is the only thing giving the clutches something to grab onto, and a fresh fluid change can sometimes expose a much bigger problem. Just something to keep in mind. Now, if the fluid checks out, the next thing we look at is the messenger. There's a little part called the TCC solenoid. It's an electronic valve that the computer uses to direct fluid to the clutch. If that solenoid goes bad, or if the wiring connected to it gets frayed or broken, well, the computer's command never gets delivered. It's like the phone line is down. Our next suspect is a bit more of a silent assassin, internal blockages. You see, over tens of thousands of miles, tiny little bits of gunk and debris can build up inside the transmission. And they can clog up the super narrow passages in what's called the valve body. It's literally like a clogged artery in your car, preventing the hydraulic fluid from getting where it needs to go to do its job. And that brings us to our final and most serious suspect, straight up mechanical failure. The clutch inside that torque converter. It's a wear and tear item, just like the brake pads on your car. And after a long life and many miles, that friction material can simply wear out completely. Once that happens, it doesn't matter how much fluid pressure you throw at it, it just can't grab and hold anymore. So, with all these potential suspects, how does a professional mechanic actually figure out which one is the real culprit? Well,
It's not about guessing and throwing parts at the problem. It's a very systematic process of elimination to find the root cause. A good mechanic follows a very logical path. First, they start simple. Check the fluid level and its condition. Easy. Then, they hook up a professional scan tool, not just to read the P0741 code, but to look at live data. They can actually watch what the transmission is doing in real time and even command the solenoid to turn on and off to see if it responds. After that, it's a visual inspection of all the wiring and connectors. And if all of that looks good, they might have to go a little deeper to test the solenoid's electrical resistance directly. It's all about ruling things out, one by one.
So, after that thorough investigation, all the evidence is going to point to one of our suspects. So now it's time to close the case, deliver the verdict, and talk about what the fix actually looks like.
And as you can see here, the verdict really determines how serious the fix is going to be. If the bad guy turns out to be just low or dirty fluid, well, you're in luck. That's a simple fix, low severity. If it's a faulty solenoid, it's a bit more involved, so we'll call that a medium severity repair. But if the torque converter itself has failed, well, the entire transmission has to come out of the car to replace it, and that puts it squarely in the high severity and, let's be honest, high cost category.
So I want you to remember this. That check engine light, it isn't an invoice. It's not a bill for a repair. It's an early warning system. It is a message from your car that's basically asking for help. The longer you ignore it, the more likely it is that a small, manageable problem can snowball into a really big, really expensive one. At the end of the day, your car is communicating with you all the time through sounds, feelings, and through warning lights. This P0741 code is just one of those signals. So the real question is, are you listening? Thanks for digging into this with me today.